Hello, my name is John Lintott. Today is March 8th, 2013, and I'm going to be showing you what I know and what I like about the GNU image manipulation program. Now, I've used this program for a few years now, and while I don't know everything about it, I've made some pretty interesting things with it. And some people I know in the College of Education were interested in seeing just how I created those things. So I'm making this video to showcase some of the important things that you're able to do with this program, and why an educator would want to be doing these things. Now, the main reasons that an educator might want to use this image manipulation program as opposed to other ones are for various reasons. First of all, it's free. While Photoshop is probably more powerful, I would assume, it's also much more expensive. So, this being free gives you it's one of the best programs you can get per dollar, being free. Another reason an educator might want to use it is, well, as an educator, you're going to need to create certain images for your students, for your classes. So any reason you could think of that you would need a paint program for, this program would apply for those reasons as well. The main difference is it's much more powerful and allows you to do many more complicated things. Paint is fine if you just want to copy an image or cut things out, but this allows you to do much more complex things with it, and I'm going to be showing you those things. Specifically, the things I'm going to be showing you are how to create a watermark for your image, how to remove a watermark, and we'll get into a little bit the legal aspect of removing watermarks. We'll also get into how to blur or obscure faces, how to remove objects and people, and if time allows, what I'll also do is I'll show you how to create or manipulate animations. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to show you is how to insert a watermark onto an image. And in doing so, I'll show you one of the most basic and fundamental principles of using the GNU image manipulation program, or GIMP for short, is layers. Now, when you're working on an image, if you're working on an image in MS Paint, you only have what you would call one layer. You can draw on it, but you would only be drawing on it on that layer, and you'd be editing your image as it is. Let me undo that, and I'll show you what makes the GIMP a useful program. In probably the most useful way, having layers. So what I've done is I created a new layer here. This window here shows me where my layers are, and these eyeballs here, if I click those, it determines what layers are visible at a time. This layer, the background layer, has most of the image, or has all of the image on it. So if I click that eye, all of it's missing. This layer here, the reason you don't notice it when I click it on and off is because right now it's entirely transparent. There's nothing to see on that image. And this is useful when we're creating a watermark. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a simple X across the image here. There. This wouldn't be a very good watermark, but this does show you the basic feature I'm trying to talk about. So we have this all in that layer. I click that eyeball, so this X is on its own layer. The background is on its own layer. So they're entirely separate. So I can edit things independently. If I need to erase this line, I don't end up erasing the whole image. I can just erase parts of things on that layer. Let me undo that. Now what I can do to make this a watermark, if you know anything about watermarks, they're vaguely transparent over an image. They're obviously there, but they don't obstruct the image too much, so someone could decide whether they want to use this image and hire this photographer or use this image. So what we can do with this layer, make sure we have this layer selected, not this layer selected, but select that one. In this opacity bar, we can slide it over, and if you're watching the image in the center of the screen, you can see that the X is fading away. We can make it thicker, or more transparent, or less transparent. Being a watermark, we want to make it somewhat transparent. Enough so you can see it, but not so much that it obstructs the image. Now, I don't actually want this X on here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this layer, and click on the trash can to get rid of it. And there it's gone. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create another layer, and as a rule of thumb, whenever you're working on a program in the GIMP, never work on the background layer itself. Always keep it separate as sort of a backup. So always work on a new layer. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on the text feature here, and I insert some text and use that as my watermark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to outline the area I want the text to occupy. So here's the text window here, and here's where I can insert the text I want. Let's put John photo, and it's in the color I have selected over here. And the justification, or where the text is aligned, can be modified over here. If you've used Paint program, you might be frustrated with the text feature it has, because once you finish the text, it's pasted on your image forever. So you can't just edit it. But because of layers and because the way this program works, I can come back, I can click out of the window here, close that, and as you can see, my text is its own layer by itself. And if I come back and realize, oh, there's something wrong with this text, rather than restarting the image all over, I can click on the text there, click in this window, make sure I have this text tool selected, come back and modify the text. I forgot my H. Now it's there. And as I was showing you earlier with the opacity feature, make it mostly transparent. And there we go. You can tell that there's a watermark in there, but let me just deselect everything. You can tell there's a watermark in there, you can see it, but it doesn't obstruct the image. So you can still see the image, and people can also see that it belongs to, in this case, myself. Alright, now what I'm going to show you is how to remove a watermark. But before I get into that, I'm going to talk about the legal ramifications of doing something like that. Now, I don't know the exact laws around it, but I do know watermarks are there for a reason, and it's because they are difficult to remove, so you can't just take an image. Let's look at this one, for example. This is an image I got from Shutterstock. Now, while I could probably, with quite a lot of work, remove this watermark, the image might not look as good as it originally did, but I shouldn't. It's not technically something that I should be doing, and it does violate copyright. So what I'm showing here now, it's mostly just for you to, say if you left a watermark on your image and you lost the original, you could use this to get the watermark removed. Your image won't look as good, but it's better than not being able to get the watermark off your own image. So, in short, don't remove watermarks from images you don't have the copyright to. Don't use what I'm going to show you for evil. Now, removing a watermark. Essentially, there's three tools here I'm going to be showing you again on how to use. But first of all, as I mentioned earlier, we want to make a new layer. Don't want to work on the same layer, just in case we need to start over completely or make some sort of horrible error. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select this layer, and use the duplicate feature. I'm going to duplicate the layer. There, so I have the background here and a background copy. The copy is what I'm going to work on. If everything goes well, then I'll just merge all the layers and make them just one layer. But for now, just working on the copy. So what I can do here, I'm going to zoom in. There's a zoom in feature at the bottom. I like to hold the control button and use my mouse wheel to zoom in. I'm going to also make this window bigger. Okay, and the three basic tools you'll need in order to get rid of this watermark I've put on my own image here are the blur and sharpen tool, the smudge tool, and the dodge and burn tool. I'm going to be using all three of these in order to remove as many letters as I can from this area without damaging image quality as much as possible. So first of all, I'm going to click on this dodge and burn tool. And now I don't know why the term dodge is there, but I do know what the term burn is here for. Think of it this way. If you're burning an image, you're charring it and it becomes darker. Let me demonstrate this. I'll choose my brush size. Actually, what I had selected was good. I'm going to select midtones there. Again, you can experiment with these to find out what works best for you for whatever purpose. As I click on the P here, it darkens it. So you can use it to darken the area there. The watermark lightened it, so basically I'm doing the opposite. It darkens it a little bit. It does get the rest of the image there a little bit, but that's fine. We'll just have to use the rest of the tools to help deal with that. So I'm going to use the blur tool here. Blur and sharpen. Sharpen would make things more obvious. We don't need that. We want to do the opposite. We want to make things blurred. So make sure you got blur selected, the brush size you want. There. And as you can see, it's sort of merging all the nearby colors into one sort of homogeneous color. And that's what the blur tool can do for you. You can only do so much. That's why we also need the smudge tool. So what the smudge tool can do, get the circle you want, modify all these you want. You just try it first and then see how you want to modify those after. What I can do, I basically select the image and I'm brushing the colors over here into the colors over there. So I just do this repeatedly, and it sort of merges all the colors together. Now unfortunately, you zoom out. Well, you can't really see it very much. If you zoom in, if you have a keen eye, you can see that this area looks obviously different from that one. If you zoom out, it's not nearly as visible anymore. You can keep fiddling with this. Maybe we'll try to burn it a little more. Let's see what to do if you select highlights. Or shadows. Oop, shadows gets too dark, so we don't want that. Use the blur tool a little more. Smudge tool. There. Let's experiment with doing it with this top area as well. Get the burn tool. Keep it in midtones. As you can see, I'm going around the letter itself to try to obscure it. Because it's transparent and gray, it basically makes the image look lighter. So if you use the burn tool, it sort of makes it darker and kind of undoes what it was originally put there to do, which was to make the area lighter. So we burn a little bit, blur it a little bit. Let's zoom in a little more. There. And then smudge tool, and to get the smudge tool, you want to go from areas the color you have into there. So you're pushing the colors you already have into the colors you want to get rid of. If you did it the other way, it sort of stretches those colors out. You don't want that. I'm going to do the opposite. So I'm going to select here, push the white into the gray here to get rid of it like that. Do a little more over here. Push this dark area into there. Stretch this color out. There, and zoom out. There. You could hardly tell there was ever a P in the section here. So that is essentially how you remove a watermark. Just repeat that process I showed you, just experimenting with using the blur, smudge, and dodge burn tools on each letter, and painstakingly go through it. That's the main reason you add a watermark, is because they can be removed, but it's pretty painstaking. Now unfortunately, the screencasting software that I'm using only lets me record 15 minutes of footage, so I don't have time to get through everything I initially promised to today, but I will address the following at a later date. Say you've got a picture of some students and you need to blur one of the faces. You want to post it online and you're not comfortable showing that student's face, or you aren't legally allowed. I can show you a quick and easy way to blur faces in images. Or say you've taken a picture of your students at a particular event, and it's an otherwise great photo ruined by something happening in the background. You really want to use this image, so I can show you how to remove things from the background. Another exciting feature, which I would really like to show you at some point, is how to modify or create your own animations using the GIMP. I've done this several times myself, and it's actually surprisingly easy. Well, that's all I have for today. If you'd like, if you're not already viewing this video from my blog, please visit my blog at words.usas.ca/jlintott. I'd be very excited to have any comments or criticisms you have towards my screencast, or any other things you would like me to showcase in the GIMP, any new screencasts I can make for you to show things that you haven't seen already. Well, that's all I have time for today. Thank you for watching.